Hi, I'm Andy Schmuckler. Guy is trying to convey what I call a better human story, which I claim puts some fundamental things in an importantly different light. How do we understand ourselves? How we understand the story of our species, and how we envision where we are in the process of developing a civilization that might get its act together or might destroy itself. It's a it argues some points that involve establishing some very different ways of understanding some fundamental questions, like uh, the status of value, um, about the meaning of the spiritual dimension of things, uh, about coherent forces battling in the human world. Inevitably because of the structure of certain systems of biological evolution, and then of the disordered nature of civilization. It it's uh, it has enough ramifications that it kind of amounts to what Thomas Kuhn's said in the structure. Well, he's a guy who about changing paradigms, and he says that when a new paradigm replaces an old paradigm, it's not because the people who developed um, with the old paradigm change their minds and adopt the new one. It's that uh, the old the holders of the old understanding die out and get replaced by new people. So with this better human story, essentially providing some uh, worldview changing ideas, compellingly argued truths, I'd say. It amounts kind of to a paradigm change. And Kuhn says people don't change their minds once they've formed. And I kind of wonder how much that is true. I mean, it seems intuitively to have some truth. How often is it that people have a really different outlook on things than they had 4 years before that? I think that people go off to college in our society, and they might come out being somebody else in some way in terms of their basic worldview. But how many people? I'd like to see a graph of people who have had some exposure, presumably from without or with from within, and come away with a really fundamentally changed worldview. Um, at what age? People change as children, and people change as adolescents, and people change as young adults. But it seems to me that it's kind of rare when somebody further along in years um, really makes a major shift. And so I'm an old man looking for younger minds, um, thinking that if if I'm going to achieve my goal, which is to get this picture uh, into enough minds that when I die, it doesn't die with me. Uh, I'm looking probably for younger minds, um, the ones that are still looking for a paradigm, which makes 20 cents. I can imagine that there is like a critical period uh, that is evolutionarily structured into us. Um, our society has, if anything, I think, prolonged the period of flexibility. Um, but I think we were built to be uh, teachable enough that we would be able to learn um, what it, whatever was required to be a member of one's culture and one's society, play the roles that are required to make the whole thing work. And then to solidify, uh, just like we stopped growing, I'm as tall as I was at the age of 14. My worldview has changed. But I do think that we need younger minds to be absorbing better ways of understanding things, because the current level of understanding doesn't seem to be serving us all that well. Yeah. On the other hand, I'm, I call myself these days a 20th century man. It's a fairly new thing I've been labeling myself with, because I've become aware of how much is seems to be a lot of stuff has changed um, from the way things worked in America when I was growing up, and I don't understand all of it. And one of my fears is, on the one hand, older minds. I mean, I don't know how much I'm capable of any further revolutionizing of my thinking at this age. I did undergo a few in my 20s and somewhat since too. But it does seem like it becomes less and less likely. But at the same time, I'm not sure whether the um, young minds are enough like how I understand minds to be and to operate and to do their quest for whatever truth that they care about getting, whatever understanding they care about getting. I'm not sure I know um, how much they want of a coherent, integrated view of things that's tightly argued, that becomes compelling, applying logic and evidence. I don't know if truth still emerges from all that in the minds of a generation that might transform its worldview sometime in the next whatever number of years, while they're still formative. So I don't know. I have this belief that, and you can see what I'm talking about if you go to a betterhumanstory.org. I have a belief that there's something here that might actually have a beneficial impact on the human future. I know how that sounds, but it's a sincere statement. Um, and I hope it's not the case that the younger minds that we've got now have something missing, that some important truths can't be conveyed and become part of the thinking of the civilization that might enable us to make some better navigations toward being viable on this planet for the long haul rather than destroying ourselves. So one does what one can in any event. If you want to see whether a 20th century man delivered something that holds water in 20th century terms, please go to a betterhumanstory.org and take a look around. It's a life's work, and I think it does hold water. Thank you. I'll be back. Bye-bye.